Hello and welcome to The Old Fools, the podcast by old people who hate podcasts and other old people. I'm Ian Martin, state pensioner and indoor socialite. Soldiering on with me is the man who sounds like that gloomy, weaponised polar bear in the BBC version of his Dark Materials. It's David Quantick.
Yeah, I think that polar bear is meant to be Irish, actually, but whatever. If you've not been out of Cockney Town, you probably don't know that. My name is David Quantick, failed writer, rejected script maven, and I am delighted to be here with our guest, Gina Rosner.
Hello, I'm Gina Rosner, and I'm glad to see David's feeling so very upbeat this morning and positive. I'm a PR person. I also write children's books. I'm slightly shocked. I hadn't realised how old this old emphasis on the programme is. I still consider myself to be about 15.
You are compared to us. You're like the intern.
You know what? We're not dragging you into old age, Gina. I mean, we carry the weight of old age with us. Or our guests can be any age at all.
What, so I'm just sort of lowering the average?
We're basically Death Eaters.
Yeah, shut up. Right, David, what's happening with you? Are you still alive? How are you doing, mate? All right.
I've got a bit of a cold. Stuff keeps coming out of me, so I may go blank to have massive sneezing fits, and you'll know because I'll mute my mic, but you'll see the dog sit up on his chair and look around.
Jim.
No, don't wake him up. You'll be confused because you're not here. You're listening to The Old Fools. You're basically listening to Ian Martin shout Jim for half an hour. What's been running up my flagpole this week? Well, one thing that I had just remembered was remakes. Been watching the remake of Beetlejuice called Beetlejuice, and it's almost as bad as the last film Michael Keaton was in, where he reprised his role of Batman in The Flash. He just seems to have this disease of reprise. It's absolutely horrific. Don't go and see it. You'll want to kill everyone in the world.
Okay.
Is that it?
Is that it? Well, that's it so far. I've got more, but I thought I'd keep some in reserve. Gina.
Well, what have I been to see? Well, I went to see Bob Dylan last week.
Hey.
Oh, my God.
And that was quite extraordinary. I was thinking about this. It suddenly occurred to me that Bob Dylan is sort of the blues equivalent of Joan Collins. He's been doing this longer than anybody else on the planet, probably. But he was extraordinary. He was absolutely mesmeric. I went with a load of dedicated fans, and I've never been to a Dylan concert before. And, I was saying, is this from a new album? Is this from an old album? Because you couldn't actually tell.
Brilliant.
And then we go, no, this is a new one. No, this is an old one. And then every now and then you'd hear, desolate and roll.
He does sound like a bee on a running machine.
How does that work? How does a bee on a running machine even fucking work?
Well, it has to run really fast and press down.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
And Buzz, yeah.
Were the Dylan fans distressed at you asking them what songs were? Because that could be a bit of a mean move.
No, not at all. They love it, and they absolutely get it. I mean, they really do get that. About 3 of them said to me, this is going to be utter torture for 45 minutes. Okay, but it wasn't. It was fabulous. It was mesmerising. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And he wandered on stage and didn't even kind of go, hello, London. He just walked on, and I thought, oh, God, that's Bob, this sort of little figure. He's dressed in a black suit. He obviously dyes his hair because nobody of 82 or 83 or whatever he is has dark, curly, perfect curls. He's wearing the little earring, and he was dressed in this suit, this dark suit, and the trousers were too long. It was a very nice suit. You could see the trousers were too long, and he obviously couldn't afford to have somebody take them up. Or he does that thing that people like me who have short legs do, which is you think, I could take these up, but if I don't take them up quite as much as I should, perhaps my legs will grow overnight.
To fill them.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
A lot of Dylan fans will recognise the trousers now because they were actually a frock back in
You're listening
1980.
to Bob Dylan's Trousers, the podcast.
Bob Dylan's trousers.
The wrong trousers.
The wrong trousers starring Bob Dylan. I'd watch that. Well, Gromit, never famous.
Oh, you do a much better Dylan impression than I do. That was good.
You just do a bee on a running machine. Help! He's going too fast.
I saw Dylan once in 1969.
Was it in the Isle of Wight Festival?
It was the Isle of Wight Festival, David
Wow.
Pontic. It was, yeah, 1969. And I too saw him as this distant I couldn't see his trousers.
Was it good?
No. No, I mean, it was great. It was great, but he was a bit of shit. I mean, that's the whole point. As Gina says, there's this kind of sadomasochistic thing going on with his fans. They kind of, halfway through a song, they'll go, oh my God, it's Desolation Row.
Yeah. Takes a while.
I thought it was, one of the 1 million other songs he's done. Yeah, it was great. You suddenly thought, oh God, that's Dylan, because he'd been missing for years, after his motorcycle accident, and this was his first gig back. So it was a big thing, and it was just a sense of being there while he stood on stage, rather than the stupid fucking versions he did of Rolling Stone or, everything. The stuff he did with a guitar was just like some awful, sort of Spanish balladeer kind of all drivelly wivelly, and but still, it was him. That was it. Job done. Bosh. Did anybody see the Agony Aunt page in the Observer this week?
No.
It was fantastic. It was Philippa Perry who gave a very good answer to this guy who was written in. He said he's 53. I'm a writer. Yeah. Well, I've got it somewhere. Is it? I write anything and everything from novels to TV shows to poems to jokes. And I love all of it. I work part-time and mostly I'm a stay-at-home father while my wife earns the largest salary. So you can see where this is going. Anyway, he says this. Whenever I mention my writing, my wife quickly changes the subject. Gets a glazed look in her eyes. At times, she even struggles to stifle a yawn. She's never shown it. I mean, I'm trying to read this out to my missus, who also does the same thing. Anyway, his question is not how do I force her to be interested, but what do I need to do for it not to hurt anymore? Oh my God.
What a win.
It's nice if the Observer printed my letter. That's all I can say.
Yes, I was going to say, did you send that in, David?
And you're looking well for 53.
Yeah, I know.
The answer was really good and was basically, stop being such a stupid fucker and accept that your wife's got the whole man and she doesn't need to be interested. Nora Barnacle didn't need to know what James Joyce was writing about. She was doing his dinner and whatever.
The trick with that one is to basically say, how was your day? And then wait till they stop talking and then hope that they ask you. That's what writers do, isn't it? They wait till the other person stops talking and then start going, I'm working on this fascinating project at the moment. It's a melange of... And at that point, your partner does, in fact, tune out. Gina, are you an encourager or an encouragee?
Oh, God, hang on. What's an encouragee?
Are you the one who wants the partner to go on about their boring job, or are you the one who wants something else?
Affirmation.
That's a good word.
Well, it's slightly weird because Andreas comes home and I say, how was your day? And I expect to be told anecdotes, fascinating things. And he goes, the usual. But he is very encouraging to me with my writing, possibly too much so. So I'll say, what do you think of this? And I'll hand something over. And then he starts to tell me what's wrong with it. And after 20 minutes, I'm glazed over going, no, stop, please stop.
When people say, I really value your opinion, we don't. When people say, I really want you to be honest, nobody wants that.
I disagree. I do a workshop. I do a couple of workshops. And I remember presenting my work for the first time at a workshop and thinking I was going to have a heart attack. This was like anything they said was going to be personally damaging, was going to strike me through the heart. And now it's like, bring it on. Tell me what's wrong with it. I can't wait. Just tell me. Tell me what needs to go, what I need to improve. And I love it. So actually, I love constructive criticism. It's just Andreas doesn't know when to stop.
Even now, locked in the basement, he's going, and if you move paragraph 4 up, you'd have much more impact.
The way I get my wife to read anything I've written is by saying, look, I'm really pushed. Fabian needs this proof back. Could you proofread this for me? And she'll do that. And that's the way of getting it done. And then, of course, you have to say, were any mistakes? Was it any good? And at that point, she glazes over.
My wife just says, I'll read it when it's published, because that way she knows she'll never have to read it.
Oh,
That's actually a good line.
clever woman.
It's a really good get-out clause because it manages to both praise you and get you out of the way.
She's a clever woman. I liked your sort of Faber name drop.
Yeah, years ago I had a book published by Faber. The books, plural, this year.
Ooh.
Have you got 2 books
Yes,
out?
I've got 2 books out.
The
Thanks,
worst thing
David,
about this
for
show,
asking.
having
Oh
a
my
new guest
God.
every week, is there's always fresh meat for Ian to suddenly reveal that he's got 2 books out.
I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to say another fucking word about my books. All right, happy now?
Happier.
Okay, I want to know what you guys think about what I call Generation Z, but which I'm now obliged to call Gen Z because all the people in Gen Z call it Gen Z.
Sounds like a pop band.
The Daily Mail had this headline: Gen Z declare war on traditional sandwiches, shunning ham and mustard. woke fillings. These woke fillings include ingredients such as avocados, olives, and continental cheeses.
The shock.
That's obviously stupid, but I do quite like the idea of Gen Z declaring war on sandwiches. I think there should be more of this.
I read another sandwich-related thing this week. Have you heard of the dry old man?
Yes, the dry sandwich man.
He's a man about my age, so he's dead, and he makes his own sandwiches, but he makes old man sandwiches, like cheese sandwiches. Yeah. And his wife is Chinese, and she is fascinated by the shitness of his sandwich. So she films him making sandwiches, and in China, he has now become a legend of the internet because people are amazed at his dry sandwiches.
I've got to look this up.
He's my hero, whatever generation he is, World War II probably. Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
Look, I just want to declare war on something.
I just love the fact that they're declaring war on sandwiches because they're such snowflakes. They couldn't possibly declare war on anything that might be able to fight back.
Yeah, why don't they declare war on Russia? That's what my parents did.
Yes.
Oh, no, that means they were Nazis. Sorry. Wait, no. Oh, that slipped out, didn't it?
I just want to declare war on something. I don't want to declare war on some cultural thing that I like young people. It's the middle-aged people I don't like. I want to declare war on people getting their lunch delivered by some poor fucker on a bicycle. That's what I want to declare war on. If you're able-bodied, sort your own fucking lunch out. You're not Douglas fucking Bader, are you?
This is why your cafe failed. You know what I want to do? Right, if we're going to do war, I want to declare war on, you know, all those films at the moment, the stupid old fuckwit diseased home for detectives who have found their shoe, whatever. All these films. Also, there was a huge wave of films about old people robbing banks. A lot of that. I've worked on one, actually. And there's a lot of the... And what annoys me about the portrayal of old people in these films is not the kind of sprightly old people demographic. It's the idea that all these old people are left over from fucking Alan Bennett plays. Some of them are 60, but they're going, oh, a cup of tea, Mavis. That'd be lovely. Henry Hall's on the rate. It's like they are the people who bought Heroes when it came out. They're the people who liked punk and early Martin Scorsese. And we're being painted as last of the summer twats.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I remember going to a Jeff Beck concert at the Albert Hall a few years ago. And I turned up and there's all these people kind of on Zimmer frames and in wheelchairs. But they're all going to see Jeff Beck.
Is he still in the Yardbirds?
No, he's dead.
He's dead, darling. He's dead.
I went to see Alan Clark from the Hollies, and it's funny and not funny that there were people in the audience so old that they were falling over as they left because they were so frail.
You're all heart, Contig, aren't you? Just all heart.
All heart failure, more. But
I did go and see Phil Manzanera a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, Phil Manzanera. You go to all the good gigs.
I do go to some of the good gigs, don't I? I'm very lucky. He was giving a talk at the RAC Club, interviewed by Richard Williams. You know Richard from...
Richard Williams from The Times.
And I think from The Independent. God, have I got that right? I'll have to check it. And he was brilliant. I mean, he's like the world's most charming man. He was talking about his book, From Revolution to Roxy, which is sort of memoir.
I once had crudité at Phil Manzanera's house.
You once had what?
Crudité.
Crudités. Were you rebelling against the sandwich?
I was just declared war on punk at this time.
You put the crudité between two layers of bread.
I don't know why I was there. I can't fucking remember. It was the early 80s. I don't know what I was doing there. I was there having cruise days anyway.
When I was a music journalist, I think the weirdest moment was I found myself drunk behind a sofa at the Cocteau Twins' house. I've no idea how I got there, I was doing, why I was behind the sofa.
How long were you there for? Several days? Did you move in? Did they notice?
I'm actually on the cover of several of their albums in the background, like a ghost in Ghostwatch.
Like Jim, it's a polio. Jim, polio.
Leave him alone. He's got a tummy ache. I am leaving Twitter. I actually am. And it's like, it's not actually a big thing. Oh, I'm leaving a social network. Who cares? But there are people on Twitter doing 9, I'm looking at you, George Monbiot, or whatever your name is, doing these 9-point threads. It's like, if I stay on Twitter, I'll be fighting from within. And it's like, mate, it's not fucking Fairly Secret Army. It's a place where people put up pictures of cats on skateboards. But it's like, and if I do leave, there will be consequences. It's like, oh, are these consequences for Israel or are they for cat pictures? And it's just, so Ian joined. I was just doing things like, your taxi's outside, George. Goodness me, is that the time? And coming downstairs with a night dress on, going, oh, and yawning while George is going, on the other hand, the fight must continue. That's how I imagine he talks.
It is absolutely pathetic. I mean, I noticed Carol Cadwallader got in on the act, doing the George Monbiot thing. So on the one hand this, on the one hand that. But honestly, the great blue sky, isn't it just ceding ground to Musk? Zelensky didn't pack his bags and decamp to Poland. Tell me, that's what she said. Tell me why I'm wrong. Okay, Carol, I'll tell you why you're fucking wrong, you idiot. Because Twitter isn't the world's town square. It's a pub, right? And it was this lovely pub, and we all got together every week, had a chat and a few pints. It got a bit noisy with the students and everything, but you put up with it because it was agreeable. Then they got a new landlord in who's a right cunt. And he's got a big England flag behind the bar and his gollywog collection. And all his EDL mates come in and start using the... And it's horrible. So we all leave. We all find another pub, don't we? Except for Carol Cadwallader and George Monbiot nursing their half pint of shandy.
Sitting in the snug.
Tutting in the
corner.
Go on,
George. It's your round. Oh, I don't think so. Because on the other hand, what if Sting came in and put on a Clash single? I'd have to... I also, before we come to Gina, I also noticed that Carol Cadwallader did this huge screed and then said, all these things are detailed in my new book, which is a tactic you can use, Ian.
God.
Gina, do you use a lot of social media?
No, I'm utterly crap on social media.
Yeah, but do you use it? I mean, we're all crap on it.
I look at Instagram, like sometimes I go down that rabbit hole, and you kind of keep looking. I have a girlfriend who's got 10 million followers on Instagram.
Cool.
Bloody hell.
And she does her own, and she's rather brilliant. But I am, I've got 5 or something.
Listeners, if you have any idea as to who this girlfriend with 10 million followers is, please write in to the Old Fools, etc.
I think it's Lulu.
Does Lulu have 10 million followers?
I'm 9 million of them. On Instagram, what you do is you find a picture and you put it on there and you go, look at this picture. And everyone goes, what a picture.
That's nice. Yes, that's true. But I've still never quite worked out how to do that. And it says things like, to upload this photograph, you have to go to settings. And it's like, what?
Oh, God, I know.
No idea how to do that.
I know.
You need to declare war on something.
I was just going to say exactly that. As a boomer, I declare war on Instagram. I declare war on silent runners. I declare war on those fucking silent runners you can't hear because they're all so nimble and lithe and don't weigh a feather. And they run behind you and collide with you, and as if it's your fucking fault. Whereas if they were like proper cyclists, they had a bell, you could hear them coming, couldn't you?
You could.
They should all have a fucking bell.
I feel you've gone off on some really weird tangent here. We've gone from sandwiches to very light runners.
Welcome to the show.
Honestly, it's a wide spectrum of things I'd like to declare war on.
If we're in the park, I'd like to declare war on people who've got dogs on long extension leads who stand on one side of the path where the bench is, but let the dog roam across the whole like a fucking finishing line for dwarves.
Yeah.
Or a garrotting rope.
A garrotting rope for spaniels.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I declare war on pet shit. Pet shit database, that's what we need. You have a pet. No, hang on, hear me out. You have a
no
pet.
choice.
It's chipped. It's DNA coded.
What, feces with chips in it?
Yeah, feces. No, it's barcoded. Whatever the fuck. Anyway, it's identifiable. So if you find some unattended pet shit, you take a picture of it or whatever.
See
something.
Say it.
Yeah, sort it.
Yeah. And then they will be geolocated and they'll refer back to the database, whatever the fuck. And then they'll find out whose pet it was. And then they'll go to court. And then the court will either fine them or make them eat it.
Oh, but what I can never get over is the little bags just left on the side of the road. It's like
hanging from trees.
Yes,
yeah.
You've scooped it into a bag. There's a bin 50 feet away. Put it in the bin, you moron. Really enrages me. I think you entitled piece of shit. I remember walking past some woman. This is on Pembridge Square, and she's outside some swanky nursery. I can't remember the name of it, but it's where very, very wealthy celebrities send their kids. And she's in her massive Range Rover with her children. And she just rolled down the window and lobbed this bag of dog poo out of the side of the window and drove off. And if I'd been a bit quicker, I'd have picked it up and lobbed it back.
That would be the dream.
Yeah.
It would be the dream. I still think about that, and it was about 10 years ago.
So one thing about dog shit is that it cools quickly. So the worst thing is if you're being public spirited and if by some fluke you think, I'll just pick up that bag, there's no actual poo on the out. The cold plasticine death worm feel of a cold poo bag is... Yeah. It's like sometimes when I'm out with Jim and we're picking up the poo, well, I am, he just does it everywhere.
Jim.
Picking up the poo in the bag. Sometimes, this is a weird one, when you put the bag over a turn and you realise it's not his.
Ooh.
It's an old one. Here's one that someone made earlier.
Yeah.
And even through the bag, you can feel the cold, doughy brain of the turd.
God. Do you think that dog poo cools as quickly as broccoli?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Dog poo. I mean, that is the problem with broccoli. Broccoli loses its heat really quickly, but it has a very large surface area with all those little floretty things. Do you think dog poo cools as quickly as broccoli?
I don't know, but I award that segue of the week. Gina's got a solid 5 minutes on broccoli. She's desperately trying to shoehorn it in. There we go. Related surface temperatures of dog poo and broccoli in the back of the net.
Now Max Bygraves with Does Your Broccoli Cool Faster Than Dog Shit?
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Does your broccoli cool at the same rate as a dog poo? This is Max Miller here, lady. The answer is yes, and I don't like the taste of either.
But you're saying, Quant, you're saying that when you realise you're grasping through thin membrane a cold turd, that's worse than a warm one?
Because it's not my dog's.
Okay.
But it's a good temperature. It's the warmth that puts me off the whole thing. Feeling the warm turd through a thin membrane will put me off the whole business.
Look, I live in Hastings. It's
What
cold.
are you, Jim?
Oh, look, Jim's
he's awake.
Jim knows we're talking about him.
Bonio.
Jim.
Bonio.
Jim.
Bonio. Why don't you just shout, would you like to ride on my penny farthing, young dog? Bonio.
My cat always used to like watching Friends.
Friends?
Did you not? He'd sleep through absolutely anything, but if I was watching Friends, he'd be there, gawping at the screen. Loved it.
He'd be there for it.
Yes.
You should try your cat on other shows, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, I hate How I Met Your Mother.
Location.
It's not you, Gina, it's the cat that I'm interested in.
Yes, but I would have to then watch it with him, wouldn't I? He does occasionally watch a bit of cricket and some...
Does he turn the telly on himself?
Quanti, did you just say to our guest, it's not you I'm interested in, it's your cat? Because, I mean, some basic podcast protocol here, mate. they've done this thing again, the government, where they put on a government webpage. We're trying to sort out prison sentencing at the moment. Have you got any ideas? Because let's have them. Because we're totally open to ideas. What's your idea about prison sentencing? But it's the same. I mean, it's the same deal clearly as the NHS thing, because everyone wants to keep people out of hospital because the hospitals are too crowded. So the emphasis is going to be on primary care. So that you go to a pharmacy with a life-threatening disease and they'll sort you out, or not, or whatever. So the problem with prisons is too many people in prison. So they just want to get community sentencing. So I think this is potentially quite a good idea, getting back to farms. Why could we get prisoners to work on farms? It would be, you could have a unionized prison force on farms working for fuckheads like Jeremy Clarkson. And even if we were paying them, even if we were paying these unionized prison farm hands, it's like 52 grand a year to keep them in prison. You could give them a decent salary for that, couldn't you?
And tax them.
Exactly.
And you could do those really nice uniforms with arrows on, and they could sing work songs while chained together.
I was going to say, are we going to chain them or are we going to track them?
Oh, I see what you're doing here. Oh, you're doing a satirical take on my brilliant idea. Is that what's happening here?
They just run away. I'm not being satirical.
No, you track them. They'd have to have trackers on.
They're not.
I'm not
suggesting we let fucking, murderers or armed robbers out of prison.
So now there's a gradation of systems. So presumably
hello, welcome to the criminal justice system. Mate. Of course there's a gradation. Of course there's a fucking gradation.
Well, to be fair, it's quite hard to tell. If you get banged up for several years for stealing a stick of chewing gum, or you have the police come around because you tweeted something they don't like, and then you get less for that for rape and murder. That's,
Yeah, rapists, murderers can stay inside. Thank you, Quantic, for your valuable contribution.
I think it should be like Clarkson's farm. Different parts of the farm could have different kinds of prisoners. So very bad prisoners would be locked in a room with Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
And there would just be 7 or 8 murderers in a room. Nice prisoners, like Lukewarm from Porridge, for example, they'd be allowed out to do bins and swilling.
Oh, it is me being chastised for my bonio.
Chastised for my bonio.
Your bonio.
Ian Martin, chastised for his bonio.
On and on.
Gina Rosner, her cat likes cricket.
Yes. Compare and control.
Prison reform. Quantic nominates fictional character from a television series from the 1970s. Well done, everybody. And that's the Old Fools for another week. Well done. Look, if you're in for a start, all the women that are in prison, how many violent women are in prison? Like 4?
Yeah, not very many.
Just let the rest of the women out. For fuck's sake. They're not paying a television license for it. This is a bloody disgrace. And you can people who are in for embezzlement or financial fiddles. In fact, they could go, look, brilliant. Okay, high streets are full now of those big hulking empty bank buildings, right? Put all the dodgy bankers and the financial fiddlers in those buildings. They can do something useful in there. I don't know what, artisanal bread making.
No, I think they could,
raffia baskets.
Get into China and remove vast funds from China and put them into our coffers.
That'd be great. It could be like a fraud squad, but committing crime.
Yeah.
Nationalised fraud. Now, that is a solid idea. Well, thank you. You've been listening to The Old Fools.
They might not have been.
If you're still here, thanks for listening to at least this bit of the Old Fools podcast. We'll be back next week with someone else, but unfortunately, the two of us at the Old Fools will still be here. Thanks so much to Gina Rosner, who's been brilliant, and to Jim. In the background there, David Fonting's house, pining for a bonio. Get it, go. Jim, bonio.